All right, Tony here with HVAC TV, and on Monday I'm going to be traveling to a factory to do videos at Tigerflow, which is a very highly specialized engineered pump package manufacturer between Dallas and Fort Worth, Texas, somewhere in that area. I need to find out the exact address, but I am setting up the camera rig to go there, and I fly out Monday, so I thought I would show you what we do typically before we go to a factory to record videos for our YouTube channel, HVAC TV. So this is what we call the high end or the 4K rig. This is when we're going to an actual factory. We want to take high resolution 4K video and also to record high quality sound. This is the rig we bring. And one of the things we've learned is it's a really good idea to kind of set it all up beforehand, balance it, test the sound, test the video before you get there, because when you get there, it's go time. You know, you don't get a lot of time to prepare. There's a lot of folks who might be a little bit nervous about getting on camera, so you're trying to help them. The last thing you want to do is be fiddling around with this thing. Also, the last thing you want to do is forget one important piece, like let's say this little wire here that connects the sound to the camera. You know, you got to be super careful to make sure you have everything. We've been very fortunate. We haven't had any major mishaps. We've had some minor ones, but every time we do this, we learn a little bit more. So I'm going to kind of walk you through the rig here and show you how we set this up. So what you're looking at here is the gimbal on the bottom, and I'm going to balance it in a minute. It's not on, it's locked into position, so you can see it's not moving. Then we have our monitor, and this is used, and I'll show you this in a minute as well. It's a way to see what the camera is seeing, but in a bigger way, and you also get some sound, so there's some huge benefits to that. This screen is really kind of crappy when it comes to recording video. It works great if you don't have any external screen, but if you can have one, this works really well. And then we have our lighting system. In this case, a lot of the factories we go to may not have quality lighting in the factory. Sometimes they have some lights and they bring them out while you're talking, but really when you're crawling around the equipment and getting inside of pump packages and chiller plants and things like that, it's very helpful to have your own light there. And so you can see how the light kind of follows the angle of the camera. And this, believe it or not, this is very powerful for what you get. And this lasts quite a long time. It'll last about an hour of recording. So I have a battery back here, and then we have some spare batteries. So go ahead and shut that off. So what I've done here is I've hooked it all up. Now I'm going to balance the gimbal, which is pretty important so that the camera motors in the gimbal don't fight the camera. So you can see this is a 3-axis. I'm going to take off all of the locks here, and you're going to see it's going to kind of move around, so it could tilt in this axis, this way, and it also, let's see, 1, 2, and then this way. There's the 3rd axis, okay? So you want to balance it so that the motors, there's a motor in here, right here, there's a motor in here, and there's a motor in here. And the more balanced it is, the less it's going to fight to have to keep it in place. So you could already see if I turn this on just naturally, it has to use power to go to this position. So we don't want it to do that. We want it to be balanced. So the way you do that is, I'm going to show you. And one of the important things too is you want to make sure you have everything hooked up before you balance it. Like just this wire right here. See what a difference that makes? So you want to make sure you're all plugged in. And what I'm probably going to do in the field is actually have this wire, let me see here. I'm probably going to have this, I don't know, I'll figure out that in a minute, Velcro to here. So it's kind of out of the way, you know, so you want this to be able to swing, you know, without fighting the wire. One of the things I made a mistake before is I hooked the wire up too short and it pulled it out of the thing because this is moving and this needs to have a lot of room to move. Anyway, so we got on the sidetrack there. So let me lock this back into position. So the first axis we're going to play around with is this one. You know, I might actually balance it without this cord on here because I'm not sure I could balance it with this cord, because it's kind of holding it in place. Well, you know what? I'm going to balance it anyway. We'll see what happens. Okay, so to change this one, what you do is you move the camera. See how you move it back and it wants to go this way, you move it forward, it wants to go that way. You're going to find a sweet spot where it's right in the middle. Now that's right in the middle with this cord on there. So let's see how that handles it. Okay. So now I'm going to lock this into position, and I'm going to handle this axis, which looks pretty darn good. It's a little bit, you know, slanting that way, so I'm going to, the way you handle this is you slide this back and forth. It's probably a little hard to see on the iPhone there, but we like doing these little quickie videos here because maybe someone will watch and it'll help it. And if you want HVAC TV to come to your factory, you kind of get a feel for what you're in for. Of course, there's tons of a couple meetings of prep beforehand. We like to do enough prep to where I have enough information to go in there and ask the right questions. Okay, so that looks good, because the purpose of the channel is to educate and empower the HVAC community. So that's what we look for. Okay, so this is still balanced in this aspect. Okay, the other thing is you want it to be balanced when you do this. That looks pretty good. Again, this cord kind of throws it off a little bit. So I'm going to go I'm going to lock that back in, test this one more time. And usually this is an iterative process. You got to go through it a few times, but this is turning out pretty good. So this angle, this axis, the way you test this is you turn it 45 degrees, and you can see how it wants to spin that way. See, that one's way off. So I'm going to go ahead and tweak that. And the way you do that is you loosen this up here. And I never know which way to do it. So let me see if the way I moved it helped or hurted. Hurted it. Hurted, I said. Okay. No. I think I'm going the wrong way. Making adjustments. Going the wrong way, I got to make an adjustment. There's a life lesson there. Okay. That could be in my next LinkedIn post. So that definitely did not help. So I'm going to move it again here. Let's try that. Might need to go up just a little bit more. One of the things I love is going to these factories just for several reasons. One is it's really a blessing to let someone into their, it's for someone to let us into their home or their factory, if you will, and take these videos, because it really does help educate the community and helps educate me. And, you know, along the line, it's good brand building for everybody, for HVAC TV and our family rent. So I think what's happening here is this cord. That was kind of my new plan, was to balance it with that cord, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm just going to, see if I can get it without the cord, and then we're just going to go with whatever it is. That looks pretty darn good right there. Okay. So like I said, it's an iterative process, so I'm going to lock this down. I'm going to go back to this axis, which still looks really good. So this is a good one to record, because usually they don't come out that smooth. Okay, so this needs to be changed, but I think it's because I don't have that cord hooked up. Because the cord's kind of pulling it back this way. So I don't know, technically I don't know what the right way to do it is, with or without the cord. Probably without the cord, but I'm going to leave it as is anyway. Okay, so I'm going to turn the gimbal on. Make sure we're all clear here. Now the gimbal and the camera have tons of settings. So you can see that's the purpose of the gimbal right here. It's like a chicken head, if you've ever seen a chicken go around. Kind of zooming in there. Hopefully I won't drop this on camera. That would not be good. So when you're taking the video, you're kind of doing one of these deals. This second handle, by the way, we just started doing this. This helps tremendously. Is you're kind of doing something like this, and you can see how steady the camera is. You could also use this joystick here and do it like that. And then if you want to reset it to the front, you do like this. And there's all kinds of different settings you could do here. I know about a third of them, but our kind of motto is to keep this as simple as possible, so that when I go there, I can get on camera and I can hand it to somebody and really it's really very user-friendly once you get it set up right. The challenge is learning how to use everything. I'm going to turn on the video here and I'll flip it around so you can see it. Might help if I turn the camera on. Oh, geez. So here's a good example. I don't have the battery in the camera. So two things there. One is I want to put it in there to make sure we bring the battery, which I think I have several of them packed. The other thing is to make sure it's charged, and I'm going to have to rebalance everything. So I'm going to shut this off. And that does that when you shut it off a specific way. I forgot. That's another thing to be careful of, that there's a lot of play in these cords. I think that's what happened one time is you can sleep it, which is just one deal like there. It's locked, and you'll want to lock it when you're not using it so you save the battery. Unlock, and then you could completely shut it off, which is to lock it and then hold it down. And then it won't go into that funky sideways arrangement, which I'm not really sure what that's good for. I don't really like that, but. So let me find these batteries for the camera, which I thought were right here. Okay, camera batteries. Do I have them charging? That's the question. You know this is a live vlog when I'm stumbling around here looking for everything, see? Okay, so this is why we do this, to make sure we have everything we need. And I just realized they are in here. I just forgot they were in this nice new case we got. So this case is really nice because it charges the batteries. There's an actual battery pack in here that charges the batteries when you're not using them, which I forgot about. Okay, so I'm going to take this off. Here's a pro tip as well. Don't ever transport your camera with the battery in it. And I'll let you think about why that's important. There's probably a couple of reasons, but I'm going to give you the reason that I don't do that. Because if you've got the battery in here, and you've got this in your case or whatever, and something hits this on switch, there goes your battery. It's going to wear your battery down. So you got to be super careful of that. So I'm going to put this back in here. And I'm going to turn the camera on, take the lens cap off, because I want to give you a view of what this gives us here. Okay, HDMI in. So there's an HDMI connection here. It comes out of the camera and goes into this. Now, I'm not sure how well you're going to see this, but I'm going to turn this around and kind of give you a view of the two different cameras here, and I could actually see what you're seeing. So you can tell the difference between the small camera and the big camera. Hello! And it's a major difference when you're talking about filming in a factory. Especially one of the biggest helps for us is to make sure the lighting's okay and to make sure it's in focus, because these cameras are very smart. Sometimes they're a little too smart. And if you don't have the focus settings just right, what you want it to do is focus on the people. Then when you're pointing to something, you want it to focus on what you're pointing to. So the person with the camera could go in on that and see that it's focused on the right thing better with the big television, the big TV screen, as I'll call it. Television, that's an old word, right? So now you can see we're fully rigged up. I'll go ahead and turn the light on. And I'll test that. The other thing I'm going to test here is the sound, which is crazy important. As important, if not more important than the video, honestly. The one thing we've learned is you can get away with subpar video quality, but the sound is a real killer. If the sound's not good, it doesn't matter how good the video quality is. So I'm going to turn this on. So what happens is, this is the receiver. You can see I have one on me now. This one is for the iPhone that's recording me now. This one is for this receiver here. Oops. You got to be super careful with these cameras, especially once you get it set up and you're in the field. This receiver here. So you can see 1, 2, 1, 2. I don't know if you can see the little green line there. I'll zoom in on that in a minute so you can see it. But this is so the camera person, and we'll also have headphones so they can hear that the sound's getting from here to the receiver. You also have to get the sound from the receiver to the camera. Just because it's the receiver's getting it doesn't mean the camera's getting it. The way you test that is you just record. So I'm going to hit record. Testing 1, and I'm going to wait a minute. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. So now you can see the audio coming through on the camera. I'll see if I can zoom this in here. You should see it on the camera in 2 areas. There's a little bit of a glare there. I'm not sure if you can see it. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. You should be able to see it there. Testing, testing. It doesn't show up on the screen, which is fine, but it does show up on the 2 other areas there. The actual receiver and the back of the video here. So I'm going to do one more video. Okay, so now we're recording. The only other thing I haven't hooked up yet is this new strap that I have. And you can see, by the way, we're in our temporary office. So here's where we are today. You can see I have a bunch of, well, you can't see what I'm shooting because, darn it, you're not seeing this because you're seeing the iPhone. So I'm going to do something here. Let me stop the recording. And I'm going to turn this around. Ah, there we go. That's what I wanted to do. I don't know if I could turn this around or not. I'll be very careful here because, let's see if that works. So, you should be able to see, well, there's quite a glare on that screen. Okay, that demonstration failed. Anyway, so this is what we're doing. We got the light. We've got the external monitor here, which we just started using on our last tour, which has been a huge help. We've got the sound. I think everything's good. I don't hear sound coming out of here, so I'm going to figure out how to make that happen. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe HVAC TV if you want to learn more about commercial HVAC products and applications. And please share it with your friends. If you have someone who's in the HVAC world or thinking about it, please share this video with them or share the channel. We greatly appreciate you.